All right, dude, we are live. What's up, guys? This is Dem Keys, and today we are going to continue learning Godot with Rust. More specifically, we're going to continue learning about Rust scripting in Godot. This is exciting because we are finally getting into the coding side of things. Um, yeah. So as usual, I'm gonna do a bit of a yap sesh about what I've been up to off stream, and hopefully I don't stretch it too long because I ended up starting the stream a little late, and well, here we are. I do want to stream for at least an hour and a half, maybe hour and 45 minutes if I can manage that. Yeah. Okay, so off stream. Oh, by the way, I did not manage. Oh, voice crack. I did not manage to fix the mic audio issue. I at the very least I figured because I got busy doing other stuff, so I didn't have a chance to um try testing this out on try connecting the mic to my Ubuntu desktop. Uh, which is unfortunate. So I haven't had the time to test that out. But real quick off stream or real quick before the stream, what I wanted to do was try um, switching the USB ports because I have two USB ports on the left side of my laptop and one on the right side. And on the left side, where the two USB ports are, that's where the laptop's charger also connects. So I was like, okay, maybe because it's a closer connection, so maybe that's why the interference is more. If that is the case, then hopefully, if I switch to the other side of the laptop, that might help. It doesn't seem to have helped too much. I What I'm gonna do is, okay, so I have my stream running. I'm gonna increase the volume of the stream. Dude, you know what? It's much better than yesterday. So like when like before I started the stream, I was looking at the mic. uh Wait, give me a second. Yeah. Before I started the stream, I was looking at the mic audio levels in OBS, specifically like the that uh the volume meter thing, because that's where I can tell if there is a disturbance and or interference, I should say. And the interference, it was a lot less um, prevalent than yesterday, but like it would show up the moment I would start talking. So um, I knew that okay, it's gonna show up a little bit in the final audio. It doesn't seem to be too bad. Let me just check it. Let me just check it again. Final audio. Right? It doesn't seem to be. You know what? There is like a very faint signal, a very faint interference. And I know that there is an interference happening in there because I can see it in OBS as well. But it seems like it's not overpowering the entire signal as much as yesterday. So I guess this helped. The interesting thing is I also am using a different USB extension. So I actually don't know if that other extension is helping to a certain extent, or is it just the fact that I moved the the connection like away. I moved the connection to a port that's away from the the what do you call it? Laptop charger. I don't know which one it is. But yeah. This is where we are at. I have currently connected my USB hub to the port that's near my phone charger, and I'm hoping that the connection remains stable. I'm hoping that it doesn't this whatever this interference is, it doesn't, you know, somehow cause connection issues with the hub, because to the hub I have my USB to Ethernet adapter connected, and that is how I'm getting wired internet into this laptop. Um, you know what? Another thing I'm considering is maybe using. I mean, I don't need to. I don't need to. Oh shit. Okay, we are dropping frames. Give me a second. Yes, we are dropping frames. I believe. Yep, we are dropping frames. I need to significantly reduce the load on the connection to whatever extent possible. So give me a second here. Um, let's do this, and I think we are good. Yeah, I think we are good. It's stabilizing now. Okay, all right. So, um, what have I been up to off stream? Off stream, I was continuing doing. So I was going to continue with the tiny Skia thing. But then additionally, I've also been doing a bit of research on Proxmox and LXCs and Docker containers. And I had to do a bit of reading, more specifically, talking to Gemini about this, clearing up my doubts about this. Because, dude, these kinds of things are great to talk to Gemini about, because this is knowledge that Gemini is definitely gonna be able to give accurately. Like this all of this tech, how this tech is working. This is a lot of this is open source tech. So in terms of training, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure Gemini has been trained on this information, be it through the open source tech itself or through various articles and tutorials that are explaining how the tech works. I'm sure Gemini is going to get a bunch of this information right, so I can trust Gemini's knowledge on this. If there's something very new, something like some latest tech within this tech, maybe there's a chance that the information might be a bit outdated. But like what I'm looking at, it is not new tech by a long shot. All the tech that I'm doing research on, I'm pretty sure it's been around for at least a decade. I don't know how old LXCs are, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure like Docker tech has been around for at least a decade, if not more. Um, yeah, let me look this up. When was Docker released? March 2013. Okay, so that puts us at what 13 years now. We are in 2026. Actually, holy shit, March 20th 2013. So we are close to exactly 13 years. Okay, when was LXC released? LXC was released in 2008. The first stable version was released in 2014. Okay, so we can count that as a decade as well. When was Proxmox released? Oh God, I accidentally hit C instead of X, and I spelled Proxmox as um, Procmoc, and then Google tried to correct it as Prozac. That's crazy. Okay, when was Proxmox released? Proxmox Virtual Environment was initially released in April 2008, developed by Proxmox Server Solutions, founded in 2005. It was designed as an open source platform combining container-based virtualization and KVM. The first stable version 1.0 was released in October 2008. Okay, so yeah, so this tech has been around for more than a decade, so I can expect Gemini to give me fairly accurate information about this. That being said, yeah, I've been doing a bunch of research on this, and while I am not going to be touching Proxmox and LXCs for a little bit because I do need like I need an actual piece of hardware to install it on. Um, I haven't like gotten around to setting up something like that yet. I do have something that might be a suitable candidate, but I haven't set anything up on there right now because that is a laptop that has Ubuntu Studio running on it, and the the hard drive has been partitioned. It's all for Ubuntu. That laptop I only use Ubuntu Studio on it. So when I did the partitioning, I did it keeping Ubuntu Ubuntu partitions in mind. And what was I saying? Yeah. So I have the root partition, the home partition, a boot partition, which I shouldn't have done. That was a mistake. I really should have allowed um, boot to just be a part of root, but this was probably 5+ years ago, and at the time I didn't know too much about um, about how well. Where was I going with that? At the time, I didn't know that boot could actually be part of root as well, and I took the advice from um, various forums on the internet saying that just a couple hundred MB is perfectly fine, and well, I ended up in a bit of a mess. This time though, with my new Ubuntu installation, I didn't create a separate boot partition. I just allowed root to have I allowed root to just do whatever boot related stuff it needs. So anything boot related, like the kernel files, it's all gonna be handled on the root side. Now where was I going with this? Yeah, the home partition on that hard drive. I gave it 800 GB or around 800 GB out of 1 TB. So out of that 800 GB, I'm currently only using 200 GB because I don't do like a whole lot of my work on that laptop. I use it a lot for like prototyping stuff, but if it's a legitimate project that I plan to work on, then I do it on my Ubuntu desktop. And on my Ubuntu desktop, I'm running a tmux server. So I have multiple tmux sessions. And so from that Ubuntu Studio laptop, I SSH into uh, the Ubuntu desktop and attach to one of those tmux sessions so that I can do the work. And thanks to my terminal-based workflow, I have the the luxury to do that. I have the ability to do a lot of this stuff over SSH. To a certain extent, I also have the ability to do GUI stuff as well. I just don't know how good it's going to be. Um, and fortunately, I don't have too many situations where I have to do GUI stuff over SSH. But at least the terminal stuff it performs fairly well aside from the occasional hiccups, occasional like freezes, which can be a little annoying to deal with. Aside from that, for the most part, everything runs smoothly, and I'm able to do my work over SSH from my Ubuntu Studio laptop. Okay, all that being said, I've got 800 GB free on that home partition, and what was I saying? I've got 800 GB free on that home partition. So what I'm thinking is I'll shrink that partition down to around 500 GB in total, and that should leave, since 200 GB is already used on that home partition, that should leave 300 GB free, and then that should leave 500 GB of unallocated space on the hard drive. And I then should be able to install Proxmox and whatever LXC containers I want, and then I can have a nice demo of what the home lab setup would be like. Okay, so keeping Proxmox aside, I was also doing some research on Docker technology and how that whole container system works, and it's really interesting. It turns out that apparently the kernel is tricking um, it's tricking the process. Generally with Docker, you're running a Docker container to run one application. I don't know if running multiple apps through one container is a thing, but generally you're running one application. Actually, I I think running multiple apps might be a thing. Like for example, if the application that you're running requires other apps as well, but the point of entry, quote unquote, for this Docker container would be one application. Like the application of focus would be one application, right? So the idea is that the kernel apparently tricks this application into thinking that it is the only application running, and that's one of the ways that, and a couple of other extra things that it does are uh, the ways that it uses to essentially containerize this or isolate this process. So it provides it with a different root file system, as in the process considers a different section, a different part of the hard drive to be its root partition. It considers it has like a um, I forgot what that was called. Something virtual something. It's given its own separate IP address as well. And there were one or two more things. I forgot what all there was, but yeah, you have like this kind of stuff going on that basically allows you to containerize this application and run it within an isolated environment. So this way you can give it you can give it like a separate um, at the very least, you can give it separate dependencies to run in. But based on what I've been reading, I'm guessing you can also give it a separate OS to run in, because it's not running on your OS. Um, you download an image of another OS's files. They probably have like a list of distributions that you can pull the files for, and this is not being installed, like it's not like you're installing a new OS on your system. These are the OS files that your process is probably going to be using, or if it requires these kinds of files and apps and stuff, it's going to be using those files. It's not going to be using the files from your OS directly, because um, keep in mind the process thinks a different directory is the root. So Docker then makes sure that what your process is looking at is, or what your process considers the OS, is that other section of the hard drive, and that is where um, your quote unquote OS files are installed. So in theory, I would imagine that even if you're running Ubuntu, you could install the image of I don't know, just taking a guess, Alpine Linux, maybe. You could install the image of that, and that's going to be used as the base, on top of which your app is going to be running. And the amazing thing here is that Docker enables you to do all of this while letting the application and the container and all use your current OS's kernel. And because of this, apparently it's really fast. I'm saying apparently because I haven't tested this out myself yet. I do want to test this out. This seemed like one of the things that I could actually test out right now. Not right now during the stream, but like currently with my current setup. This seemed like one of the things that I would definitely be able to test out a lot more easily than setting up something like Proxmox. Because with Proxmox, it's not going to be necessarily the most, you know, easy or simple thing to set up. There's going to be quite a few things to look into there. And again, I need separate hardware to install it on. But yeah, I'm excited to test that out. And another thing I'm excited for is checking out Docker related TUI. I already found one. It's called Ox Oxcur, I think. Hold on. I did find actually there's two or three different tools, but the specific one that I liked is Oxcur. And me being me, I was. What does that even mean? Well, me being a person who likes Rust is what I mean. Saying me being me, it sounded weird. But yeah, me being a person who likes Rust a lot, I was looking for something that's Rust based, and I was assuming that in terms of like because I'm looking for TUI, there's a decent chance that it's going to be Ratatouille based, and yes, it was. It is. So Oxcur is a simple TUI to view and control Docker containers. It's built in Rust, making heavy use of Ratatouille and Bollard. Bollard is something that gives you access to the Docker API, and it also does this asynchronously using Tokio. So I don't need to concern myself with the lower level tech here. I'm doing a lot of the higher level tech. Basically, I'm going to be using Oxcur once we get into Docker. Shit, maybe I could dedicate a stream to learning Docker, and we can look into setting up I don't know, setting up simple Rust and Python environments, or simple environments to run various types of Rust and Python projects. Okay, give me a second. Hold on. How long have we been streaming? I had to close my Twitch app to allow the connection to stabilize. Okay, I've been yapping for 23 minutes. You know what? I think we should get into Um, I think we should get into Godot for Rust, or Rust Godot, or Godot Rust. Um, Godot Rust. Yes, that's what. Uh, okay. So the first thing I noticed today, after I restarted Godot, the editor, was there's a bunch of error messages at the bottom, saying can't resolve symbol GDX Rust in it. Let me show you guys what exactly it might be pointing towards. Hold on. Um, yeah, this is it. So I created this GD extension file, and here I've mentioned the entry symbol to be GDX underscore Rust underscore init. And I created this, and then I restarted the the Godot editor. And so I'm assuming because there's a GD extension file and I've specified things for it to load, so it worked. It loaded the thing automatically, and because of hold on, because of I'm still not sure what exactly. I think because we just need to move forward with the tutorial and learn what to do. That's why I scrolled down here to troubleshooting, where it's pointing out pretty much the exact error that I'm getting. Um, so here's what we're going to do. Okay, we're going to continue from where we left off yesterday. I believe we finished this as well. So I've created the GD extension file. It says you can add configurations for as many platforms as you like. I've stuck to Linux. I've created a debug and a release. I guess configuration is what it's called. Yeah, I've created entries for debug and release on Linux specifically. Okay. When exporting your projects, you need to use paths inside. You need to use paths inside so and so. Outside paths like this are not supported. What? Hold on. When exporting your project, you need to use paths inside res. So that's within the Godot project. Yeah, that's within the Godot project. Um, okay, let's continue reading. Custom Rust targets. If you specify your cargo compilation target via the target flag or a cargo config toml file, the Rust library will be placed in a path named in a path name that includes in a path name that includes target architecture, and .gd extension library paths will need to match. For example, for M1 Max, it's going to be so and so. The path would be so and so. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. All right. Extension list.cfg. A second file. Um, so and so, so and so. Okay. Should be generated once you open the Godot editor for the first time. The file lists all extension. Okay, let's test that out. Let's see if that is the case. So I'm gonna need to go back one step and then go into this. Is it able to read? No, wait. I have to go into Godot and then .godot and wait. What all was it showing here? Oh, okay. All right, great. Um, then you know what I'm curious about? When I do this and I hit tab and then it gives me this list and I select something from the list, I can't hit enter because if I hit enter, it's going to take that as like me hitting enter on that upper command line thing. Um, if I hit tab, I think yeah, tab just cycles through the thing. So I can't do that either. I can't hit escape because that cancels out the whole thing. Um, I need to figure out a good way to go about this because right now all I know is that I can hit an extra key like A and then that menu vanishes and then I can do this again. Anyways, there it is, extension list.cfg, and it has listed our hello world.gd extension. Yeah, okay. Let me read this again. So a second file, gd a second file, extension underscore list.cfg, should be generated once you open the Godot editor for the first time. This file lists all extension This file lists all extension registered with your project. If the file does not exist, you can also manually create it, simply containing the Godot path to your GD extension file. All right. Then your first extension, if you do not follow the recommended GDX project directory setup or no of having separate Rust and Godot directories, and instead place your Rust source directly within your Godot project, then please consider adding a .gdignore file at the root folder of your Rust code. I'm guessing this is to ignore the entire Rust directory within the editor. This avoids cases where the Rust compiler may produce a file in your Rust folder with an ambiguous extension such as .obj, which, oh wait, this is a different thing than what I was thinking about, which the Godot editor may inappropriately attempt to import, resulting in an error and preventing you from building the project. Okay, this is a different thing than what I was thinking about, because what I was um, where my mind was going was more, okay, maybe it'll show up as like an asset directory or something within like the file system doc, but this is a more sophisticated reason. Okay, Rust entry point. As mentioned earlier, our compiled C library needs to expose an entry point to Godot, a C function that can be called through the GD extension. Okay, setting this up requires quite some low-level FFI code, which Godot Rust abstracts for you. Hell yeah, let's go. Okay, in your lib.rs, replace the template with the following. All right, let's do that. Um, where? Here. Okay. Wait, it says replace the template. Okay. You know what? I don't want to completely get rid of this. So what I'm going to do is just comment out this entire thing and then, I don't know, put 10 lines above. And let's also, oh, wait, don't do that. Let's also add an extra comment here, which gives us this nice long line. Also, maybe let's, oh, it won't comment these. Okay, never mind. Oh, yeah, no, never mind. Okay, so we're going to do use Godot prelude so and so. Okay, so we import everything from prelude, then struct my extension. All right, then gd extension. Oh, I can probably read the stuff here. Proc macro attribute to be used in combination with the extension library trait. All right. Okay. Unsafe impl. Right. So now we are defining an entry point, or well, this is not an entry point. This is a trait. We are implementing a trait, which is, I believe, the extension library trait, alias entry symbol. Okay, I'm guessing that is our entry point. So extension library for my extension. So we hit save. There are multiple things going on here. One, place the prelude module from the Godot crate into scope. This module contains the most common symbols in the Godot Rust API. Then define a struct called myExtension. This is just a type tag without data or methods. You can name it however you like, and then implement the extension library trait for our type and mark it with the GD extension attribute. Okay, the last point declares the actual GD extension entry point, and the proc macro attribute takes care of the low-level details. Okay? Then, troubleshooting. It's common that there are some issues with first-time setup, particularly errors related to the library not being found or the GDX rust init entry point symbol being missing or impossible to resolve come up. Okay, okay. Usually due to an incorrect initial setup. Here are a few troubleshooting steps that should solve the most common problems. Have you run cargo build? I have not run cargo build doing this, after doing this change. So let's run cargo build now. Okay, this is taking a little while. That's interesting. All right, done. Okay, then what's next? Actually, wait. Does the console give us a message if the loading was successful? I'm not sure if it does. Hold on, let's run cargo build again. Is there a clear thing? Yeah, okay, clear the output. What's the Control Alt K? All right. Okay, yeah, let's run cargo build again. And I don't know how to trigger the reloading of it, so I'm just like alt tabbing out of the Godot editor and alt tabbing back in. So hopefully there's some file watcher kind of thing that triggers it. Though, okay, I'm not getting the error right now. I don't want to close the editor because then I'm gonna have to tell OBS to, find it again. Okay, in wait, let's continue with the troubleshooting steps. Okay, in cargo.toml, have you set crate type equals cd ylib? Yes, okay. And I've spelled it right and everything. Okay, all right. We are good. Does Godot crash immediately on opening your project? Run Godot 4 path to so and so from the terminal to see the error output. No, okay, fortunately my editor is not crashing immediately. In my extension.gd extension, I'm assuming in my case it's supposed to be hello world.gd extension because that's what the thing mentioned above over here. It was somewhere here. Like that's the example that we are going with. Give me a second. My browser froze. Oh, okay. Yeah, we are good. Yeah, we create hello world.gd extension. So that's where we are at. Give me a second. Okay. Hello, Zaynar. Welcome to the stream. How's it going? Um, it is, dude. Yeah, I'm making some good progress here. Hold on. We are currently on the Rust. We have currently reached, and we are currently exploring the Rust side of Godot, or we're exploring setting up the Rust project within or to use within the Godot project. And I'm just doing a bit of troubleshooting because when I reopened the Godot editor, then I was getting a bunch of errors. So one of the errors, I think I did solve it by adding this code, which we hadn't added before. Now I'm not getting the errors anymore. Okay, you know what? I'm kind of tempted. What I'm gonna do is close the editor and reopen it, and I'm gonna have to tell. I hope it's not capturing some other window. Oh God. Okay, hold on. I just realized that I need to free up some memory. Give me a second. Okay, so I've freed up a bunch of memory, and yeah, we hopefully, man, I need to keep a closer eye on the the memory usage here. We almost touched like 9 GB in memory usage. Nice. I'm working on 3D point clouds. Godot would probably render them quite well, actually. I'd imagine so. Yeah, they do actually let you also take control of the rendering. So if their own provided API, their own provided tools are not um, they're not satisfactory enough for you, and you're not able to get as much performance out of it as you think you could, then you can do a lot more low level stuff within Godot itself using the Godot API. They expose some API to allow you to take control of the rendering to a certain extent. I haven't explored that yet. At some point later, I would like to. For the time being, I wanna stick to the higher level API. But yeah, at some point later, I too wanna explore that low level stuff to see just how how much we can customize the rendering capability. Um, I I forgot that I was supposed to be opening this editor. Hold on. Wait, did I not close this? Yeah, I closed it. Okay. Now we open this again. Wait, I don't know what OBS is showing. Oh, okay, it's stuck on that frame. Okay, that's good. I'm stuck in low-level hell trying to flip specific bits in my file to flag points. Have you got Godot rendering anything interesting yet? So far, just like simple hello world stuff because I'm still learning. I'm still learning the basics of Godot. Give me a second. Let me open up the project, and then I can continue talking. Let me open up the project and get OBS to capture the window. Okay. There we go. Okay, it's being captured now. And we do not have any errors similar to before, which is great. It also says debug adapter server started on port so and so. I don't think we had this running before. I wonder if this has to do with the what do you call it? with the library that we are writing. But yeah, to answer your question, Zainar, in terms of rendering something interesting, no, I haven't. I've mainly been focusing on learning the basics of the editor and creating functionality within the Godot editor. I will get to complex rendering stuff later on. The rendering part was actually interesting to learn because coming from a Unity background, I had a hard time wrapping my head around the concept of rendering in Godot because it was kind of confusing to me how you have like a separate 2D rendering setup, a separate 2D workspace, and a separate 3D workspace. Because on the Unity side, generally we would just switch to a 2D way of looking at things. It was still 3D space, but we were just looking at it in a different way. Um, or wait, did I say it was still 2D space? Or did I say 3D space? I meant to say 3D space. Yeah, it was still a 3D space, but then we would switch to a 2D way of looking at it. Essentially, we would just change the way that the camera was looking at the space. But in Godot, that's not what you do. In Godot, you have a 2D workspace and a 3D workspace. Items that inherit from or items that have a base class node of type node 2D, they are handled by the 2D workspace, and items that have um, a base class of type node 3D, they are handled by the 3D workspace. So if you select a 2D item in your node tree, then Godot will make sure that the 2D workspace is currently active. On the other hand, if let's say I create a cube, do I have a 3D cube here? No. Wait, mesh instance 3D. Look at that. It switched to a 3D workspace because this is a 3D node. It has a base class node of type node 3D. And if I click on this 2D node, now it switches back to 2D. So this kind of confused me initially. And I was like, okay, what is going on here? In terms of rendering, how exactly am I meant to understand this? So I did a bunch of research. I had a chat with Gemini about this, and Gemini definitely helped me understand this like like a lot. So it turns out that you have these two different rendering engines. You have the 2D rendering engine, which handles 2D, of course, but it also handles UI related stuff. So both of those things are part of the 2D engine. And then you have the 3D engine, which handles the 3D stuff. But the final result, what you're going to see on screen, is actually all of them composited together. So your 3D world gets rendered first, and then your 2D world gets rendered and sort of layered on top of the 3D world. And of course, the UI is then uh, also layered on top of the 2D. So this is how Godot shows you all of these three worlds. I guess you can count UI as a separate world, even though it's technically 2D. This is how Godot shows you both of the worlds together, and this is how you're able to work with both of these spaces simultaneously, despite them having two separate rendering engines. So that was really interesting for me to find out, for me to learn. Okay, let's continue with this. Okay, so there's multiple things going on here. We are done with that. The last point declares the actual GD extension entry point, and the proc macro attribute takes care of the low-level details. Oh, yeah, I was in troubleshooting. Let's go through this list, even though I'm not seeing any errors now. Let's still just go through the entire list and see if any possible errors might show up. Okay. Are the paths set in my extension dot so and so? Yes, I believe the paths are set correctly. Yes. Yes. We have set the path correctly. This is what Rust Godot proj O one Rust target debug. Oh, no, I haven't set it correct. Back up. I have not set it correctly. Okay, I have not set it correctly. Wait. Oh, wait, no, no, no. I have set it correctly. Yeah. Um, yeah, so it's supposed to go, so we are within, assuming we are within the Godot directory, which is, um, back up here, which is this. So we take a step back using the dot dot here. We take a step back, and then we go into Rust, which it mentions here, Rust target debug. Okay, Rust target debug, and then that's our file. Um, so far we have debug. We do not have release. I don't know if that's a problem yet, because I think only debug is used when you're working within the editor. Yeah, I think only debug is used when you're when you're working within the editor. Okay, are you sure? Double check so and so. Okay, the paths must also be relative to the directory that project.godot is in. Typically, it'll be res dot dot rust so and so. Yep. Okay, we have followed that exact structure. Have you written the Rust code necessary to generate the entry point symbol? See above for how. Yes, we just did that. Are you sure? No. Are your Godot Rust and Godot versions compatible? That's a good point. Hold on. We are running Godot 4.5.1. It says see this page. All right, let's take a look at that. Selecting a Godot version. I don't remember if I did this. It says here compatibility minimum 4.1, and I'm currently on 4.5. So I'm assuming this means that anything below 4.1 is not okay, um, meaning anything above 4.1 is perfectly fine. Okay, supporting multiple Godot versions is a key feature of Godot Rust, especially if you plan to share your extension with others as a library or an editor plugin. This page elaborates your choices and their trade-offs in detail. The previous chapter about compatibility is expected as a prerequisite. Motivation. API version against which Godot Rust compiles. This affects Rust symbols. This sets a lower bound of the Godot binary you can run your extension in. Runtime version, the Godot engine version in which you run the Rust extension. This affects the runtime behavior. It is advised to stay up to date with Godot releases to benefit from new improvements. GD extension is designed to be backward compatible, so an extension built with a certain API version can run in all Godot binaries greater than that version. Okay, all right, so we have that set up. Real quick, give me a sec. Actually, give me a couple of minutes. I need to step away for a little bit. Okay, I am back. How are we doing on... Hold on, let me... Oh, that's quite a bit of delay. Hold up. Let me see if I can like reset it or something. Yeah, that is quite a bit of delay. Hold on. I'm just gonna reload this and there we go. The delay is much shorter now. Yeah, sorry about that. I had to step away for a little bit. Give me a second, let me hydrate, and then we will continue reading. Dude, you know what? I'm kind of happy that the the interference is not that bad right now. Considering that, it could be significantly worse. Like yesterday, I actually got like that in yesterday's stream when I was doing that whole demonstration in Yahtzee with actually not even a demonstration, the experimentation to find out if cargo um, if cargo yeah, if cargo creates a repo despite the fact that you are creating a project within an already existing repo, and like what's the logic that it follows surrounding that. And yeah, it turns out that it's intelligent enough to detect that you are in a repo, and so then it's not going to initialize a repo. And additionally, if even if you are not within a repo and you still want to stop cargo from creating a repo for your Rust project, because by default, um, cargo creates a repo along with your Rust project. So it creates your Rust project and it also initializes a repo. So yeah, additionally, if you want to prevent it from doing that, then you can just specify a VCS none flag or a VCS flag with the value none, and then it's not going to create the it's not going to create it's not going to initialize a repo within that project that's being created. Okay. Uh, Going back to hold on, let me tab into this. Okay. So I don't think we need to worry too much about this because it mentioned that it's backward compatible. Um, Therefore, the lower your API version, the more Godot versions you sub. Actually, wait. So an extension built with a certain API version can be run on all Godot binaries greater than that version. So that's backward compatible. Oh, that's interesting. So that's what you call backward compatible, and then forward compatible is when you want to make sure that everything below the version that you're specifying is supported. Let me just confirm that that's exactly how it works. Um, Hey, so explain to me backward versus forward compatibility um, using something like the Godot Rust API as an example. Okay, in software development, compatibility is all about how different versions of a system. Give me a second. Let me just reopen. Yeah. How different versions of a system talk to each other without breaking the build or crashing at runtime. Okay, hold on. All right. Okay. Using the Godot Rust API, specifically the GDX library for Godot 4, is a perfect way to visualize this, as it involves two moving parts: the Godot engine and your Rust GD extension, the guest. Backward compatibility. Definition: of the system a newer version of a system can handle the old stuff. In the context of Godot and Rust, the scenario: you build a Rust extension using Godot 4.2, now 4.3 is released, the compatibility. If Godot 4.3 can load and run your 4.2 extension without having to recompile or change a single line of code, Godot is backward compatible. So it says here, um, GD extension is designed to be backward compatible. Okay, all right. In Rust terms, the Godot Rust maintainers add a new feature. If the Godot Rust maintainers add a new feature to the library, like a new helper trait, but your old code still compiles perfectly, the library update is backward compatible. Okay. Why it matters in Godot Rust: the GD extension API is designed so the engine doesn't break existing binaries. This is why you can often drop an older DLL or SO file into a newer version of the editor and it just works. Okay, then forward compatibility. Definition: an older version of a system is designed to gracefully handle the new stuff. An older version of the system is designed to gracefully handle the new stuff it doesn't recognize yet. In the context of Godot and Rust, the scenario: you update your Rust code to a brand new feature introduced in Godot 4.3, then you try to run the extension in Godot 4.2. The compatibility: if Godot 4.2 sees sees the new data, says, I don't know what this is, but I'll ignore it and keep running, it is forward compatible. See, this is interesting because, like, okay, what is the idea here? I need to come up with a way for me to be able to, like, visualize this so that I'll then remember it. I don't want to just memorize the thing, I want to understand it. So, something is backwards compatible if, let's go back here. Something is backward compatible if you are able to run an older version of something else in it. So then it's backward compatible. If you're able to run an older version without any errors, something is forward compatible if you are able to run a newer version of something in it. Now that makes sense. The directions now make sense. Now, yeah, okay, now it makes sense. So looking at this from a GD extension, oh, it says GD extension, not Godot Rust. Okay, because when I read GD extension, for some reason I was imagining Godot Rust, so I was like, okay, this is talking about something to do with the Godot Rust plugin itself. But no, this is about Godot. So GD extension is designed to be backward compatible. So an extension built with a certain API version can run all Godot binaries greater than that version. Oh, I think what confused me here is that it's saying that an extension built. Oh, I think I missed this part. Run in. Run in all Godot binaries. I think that's what confused me because I was the way that I read this, I understood it as, or well, I guess I didn't understand. um, because I read it in a different way. I missed that in word, I think. Um, I I didn't read it as run in all Godot binaries. I think I read it as run all Godot binaries, or maybe I read it as run in all Godot binaries, but mentally I was thinking run all Godot binaries, and that's what caused a confusion because it seemed like we were thinking about it, or it seemed to me like the this thing was talking about Godot. You know what? Okay, I'm not going to try and explain it because I'm yeah, I'm not going to try and explain it. It was a confusion that I had, and that's clear now. Okay, in other words, API version less than or equal to runtime version. Okay, great. So, um, because GD extension is backward compatible, so the extension that you're building should have um, a version lower than or equal to or less than or equal to uh, the version of Godot that you're trying to run this extension in. Okay, right. You know what? Okay, that being said, we can go back to this. We don't need to continue reading this thing because, yeah, this goes into like their philosophy and um, supporting latest versions and selecting API version and so on. So, okay. My use case, at least currently, is not so sophisticated and complex that I need to, you know, um, pick specific versions and not stick with like the latest version. Where was I? Yeah, okay. Are your Godot Rust and Godot versions compatible? Yes, they are. Did you try clearing the Godot cache, i.e., deleting all the files in the .godot folder except for so and so? I have not done that, but we are not getting the error anymore, so I'm assuming we are good. In case you use API-custom, do you have Godot in your so and so? I don't think I'm using. I don't know what this is. API custom. So I'm just going to ignore that. Is your directory structure like below? It's much easier when you ask for help if it is. Yes, it is. It is exactly like this. And I think in the future, any projects that I do, do, um, that I do with Godot Rust, I'm probably going to follow this same project structure. Okay, creating a Rust class. Now let's write Rust code to define a class that can be used in Godot. Every class inherits. Oh, backup. I just remembered that, yeah, we still have this page that we need to be looking at. This page. So this is creating the script. You know what? Okay, we're still writing the script on the Rust side. Okay, every class inherits an existing Godot provided class, its base class or just base. Rust does not natively support inheritance, but the Godot Rust API emulates it to a certain extent. Okay. Yeah, because every node inherits from like a base. So like it could be node 2D, node 3D. I think UI uses control as a base class. I don't remember the details surrounding UI, but yeah, it's something along those lines. Okay, in this example, we declare a class called player. Oh, this is a separate file. Okay, okay. Good, good. So we are, dude, this is great. No, this is actually great because this is gonna, dude, you know what? Modules in Rust, it's one of those things that I don't use nearly as much just yet because I haven't gotten into writing like super complex, sophisticated programs. I'm gonna get there at some point. Like I'm gonna start writing you know, actual Rust projects and bigger Rust projects, and then I'm going to be doing module stuff more often, and I'll just be able to remember it. But like for the time being, I kind of have to remind myself that, oh, okay, there is this module system, and they have a couple of different ways of creating and using modules. There's the older way, which was you create a directory with the module name, and then you create a mod.rs file within the within that directory, and that's how you would like. That's one of the ways that the I guess we can say the Rust analyzer and the compiler would recognize that, yeah, there's a module with so and so name, and the so and so name in this case would be taken from the directory, the parent directory's name. And that is if you had a mod.rs file. Another way to do it is to just create the file, create the module with that name, and then it'll be recognized. And if you want to create like sub modules within that module, that's when you create a directory and you start adding the sub modules in there. Actually, I'm curious if I'm getting this part right because I haven't done this in a bit. So let's test this out. Okay, so within, I'm assuming everything has to be within source still. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a directory called testmod01. And within testmod01, we're going to create, no. Okay, we've created testmod01, right? Let's also create testmod01.rs. Okay, so we have this. Now here, we are, oh, forgot about this. So here we, dude, I like that because we have both of these open. So this is from a different directory. So now it's opening up this, and this is from a different directory, which is the Rust directory. So now it's got this open. Okay. All right. Testmod01. This file is not included anywhere in the module tree, so the Rust analyzer can't offer IDE serve. Okay. Wait. Did I get that bit wrong? I think maybe I got that bit wrong. Oh, wait. Let's do something here. Pub mod. No. Let's say pub fn some func 01, and yeah. So it says this is not included, right? Okay, let's move this here. It says this is not included. What if I do, but it says it's not included in the module tree, so I don't think that's going to show up. Okay, what if I move this in here instead? Because I could be remembering the details wrong. Okay, yeah, this doesn't exist. So let's close this and reopen this. It still says this is not included. However, let's... What was the way to go about doing that? Was it maybe mod test mod 01? Dude, I think I need a refresher on modules. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like I don't use modules nearly enough to remember all of these rules surrounding it. Let me just get a quick refresher here. So module cheat sheet. Awesome. That's exactly what I was looking for. Here we provide a quick reference on how modules, paths, and how modules, paths, the use keyword, and the pub keyword work in the compiler, and how most developers organize their code. We'll be going through the examples of each of these rules throughout this chapter, but this is a great place to refer to as a reminder of how modules work. Declaring modules. In the create root file, that's one place I completely forgot about that. Yes, you can declare it in the create root. Oh, what I did wrong here was actually no, wait, that's not what I did wrong. By the way, is this right? Right. Okay. Maybe hyphens are not allowed. That could be part of the problem. So if I create a test underscore mod underscore o1 dot rs and then do oh god, I should be so careful with that. Give me a second. Okay. Hold on just a minute. Okay, so in here, if I do pub mod real quick, yeah, okay, we're good. In here, if I do pub mod, um, oh, actually not mod, pub this sum underscore func underscore or sum func o1. Right, that's our thing. Great. Um, right. Okay. We should. So it's test mod o1. What is the error saying? To create the module test so and so, create a file so and so, or oh, you know what? This is a good example. Here it is saying exactly what I was talking about. Um, you either create a file with that name, or you create a directory. And if you're creating a directory and you want the module to be within that directory, then you create a mod.rs file within that. Though this is generally discouraged these days because this is the older method. And also using this method, you end up with a bunch of files called mod.rs. So like imagine if I have a bunch of different buffers open here and they all just say mod.rs, then like I don't know which one is which. So I'm going to be constantly switching between multiple of them trying to find the right one. Okay, if there is a mod test underscore mod o1 elsewhere in the crate already, import it using so and so. Okay. The thing is, I thought we require this. Okay, let's do this. Um, so there seems to be test mod o1 over here. We don't seem to require this. Yeah, it doesn't seem like this is necessary. Um, let's create a function somewhere here because I cannot call this. Okay, let's do fn, I don't know, test underscore func o1, and in here we will call test mod. Oh, it doesn't work. Yeah, this doesn't work. What am I doing wrong here? Hold on. I am just gonna look this up real quick. This is a weird sort of detour to be on, but just give me a second. Okay, so we can either declare a module within this file. That's one way to do it. Or in the file with the module name, so test underscore mod underscore o1. Okay. Or in the file mod.rs, which is within a directory with the module's name. And then there's a thing for declaring submodules. We can look into that later. How is this supposed to look? Oh, do I need pub here? Was that the issue? Pub mod. Unresolved module. Can't find test mod o1. Where did I create this? Did I not create this where it's supposed to be created? Oh, wait, no. This is the wrong one. This is not what I'm looking for. Oh, dude, I have two separate files now, and now there's a confusion. Let me go back to this and delete the thing that I do not need. So we're going to delete this. And we also don't have... You're joking. This is why it wasn't working. Right. So at this point, do I still need pub mod? So it says test mod is defined multiple times. Let's get rid of this. Okay, so this is how you do it. I just created a whole bunch of confusion for nothing. Okay, so we have the module within the source directory. We can define the module there. And then we have, wait, why are there warnings here? Oh, because it's never used. Okay. Oh, let's also confirm that this thing is working. Not test func. Oh, don't I need to use the thing? Yeah, I need to use it after declaring mod. I think. Maybe? No. Wait, do I? Hold on. Test mod o1. There were situations where I needed to do this. I can't remember what those situations were, but yeah, okay. I guess we'll get to it when we get to it. Right. Now what we can do is just to make sure we are putting it into the right directory, we're going to do player.rs. Right, so we're going to get on with this. In this example, we declare a class called player, which inherits sprite2d, a node type. This can be either defined in lib.rs or in a separate file, player.rs. In case you go for the latter, don't forget to declare mod player in your lib.rs file. Okay, we're gonna do that. lib.rs. Let's move this closer. I think we can get rid of, I think we can close this for now. We don't need this anymore. We probably also don't need the extension list anymore. Yeah, okay. Okay, use Godot. Wait, why is IntelliSense not working? Player.rs. Why is IntelliSense not working? Uh, okay, let's do mod player. How about now? Yeah, that's weird. It is not working for some reason. It is also not throwing an error, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So I've created this file. Should I like restart NeoVim? You know what? Let's do that. Shouldn't take time. Give it a second. Let it do its LSP things. Hold on. Damn, this is taking some time. Oh, is it like recompiling the whole thing again? Maybe that's what it was doing. You know what? I don't know. It works now. I'm just gonna go with that. I do need to, if this is the case, like do I like if it is the case that I need to, I don't, dude, I shouldn't have to do that. I should not have to do that. I don't know what happened there. I'm curious now. Let's try creating source player o2.rs. Okay, let's bring this here and see. So Godot doesn't work right off the bat. When I save though, still doesn't work. Okay, let's come back here. Let's add mod player. Okay, so Rust is seeing player o2, which is good news. But we don't have this, we don't have code completion working here. Right, I need to look into why this is and try and understand what's going on here. Okay, that being said, this works, and fortunately, NeoVim doesn't take that long to start. So we can just restart anytime there's a new file that needs to be added. That would be a bit annoying though. I need to find a way around that. Okay, struct player. Okay, speed f64, angular speed also f64, and then we specify the base, which is sprite 2D. Okay. Player requires either an init construct. Oh yeah, we'll be doing that. We'll be doing that next. Let's break this down. The Godot prelude contains the most common symbols. Less frequent classes are located in the engine module. Okay. The derive attribute registers player as a class in the Godot engine. All right. See API docs for details about derive Godot class. Okay. The optional class attribute configures how the class is registered. In this case, we specify that player inherits Godot's sprite 2D class. If you don't specify the base key, the base class will implicitly be ref counted, just as if you omitted the extends keyword in GDScript. Okay, we define two fields, speed and angular speed, for the logic. These are regular Rust fields, no magic involved. More about this more about this use later. Then the base T type is used for the base field, which allows self to access the base instance via composition, as Rust does not have native inheritance. Okay, I don't know what composition is in Rust. That would be something interesting to look into. All right, this enables two methods that can be accessed as self.base and self.base mutable on your type through an extension trait. T must match the declared base class. For example, so if we mention base equals sprite 2D, then T in this case for base should be sprite 2D. Okay. The name can be freely chosen, but base is a common convention. Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know that. That's good to know. I think I'm going to stick with the convention. You do not have to declare this field. If it's absent, you cannot access. If it is absent, you cannot access the base object from within self. This is often not a problem. Example in data bundles inheriting ref counted. Okay. Correct node type. When adding an instance of your player, oh yeah, we need to make sure that this is actually a sprite 2D. So like if we are attaching this script, I'm assuming we're going to be attaching this script to one of the nodes. So we need to get the node type right. Okay, when adding an instance of your player class to the scene, make sure to select node type player. Oh, I got that wrong completely. I got that completely wrong. Holy shit. Okay. This is talking about something else. I kind of jumped the gun there. Okay. Um, when adding, so this is what we are creating here is a separate node of its own, but its base is sprite 2D. All right. Make sure to select the node type player and not its base. Otherwise, the Rust logic will not run. We will guide you to make that change to your scene later when you're ready to test it. If Godot fails to load a Rust class, example due to an error in your extension, it may silently replace it with its base class. Use version control Git to check for unwanted changes in TSCN files. Then method declaration. Now let's add some logic. We start with overriding the init method, also known as the constructor. This corresponds to GDScript's init function. All right. So I need iSprite 2D. Why is this as like a separate? Maybe it's to keep the code small. So it's understood that I need to add this code to the currently existing, or it could also be because um, well, not everyone is gonna, because they did mention that you can either create the player struct within your current main.rs file or in a separate module. I'm doing a separate module, but not everyone is going to do that, right? Okay, so iSprite2D. IntelliSense is not. Oh, wait. So to do multiple, I need this. That's why it's not working. Yeah. Okay. So those two are done. Then we need Godot API. Okay. Godot API. What does this do? Proc macro to be used with impl blocks of Godot class structs. Awesome. It can be used in one of two ways. Hold on. They're giving us docs here. It can be used in one of two ways. It can be used in two ways. One is this, and then that, or impl inode for so and so. So I'm doing the second method, but we can also do this. In this case, I guess this is when we are not implementing a trait. We are just implementing functions on the class. All right. Anyways, impl I sprite 2D for player. All right. Now if I do, wait, the default implementation, let's see if, okay, the Rust compiler is not complaining. How do I, there's no code actions here. Okay, I guess I'll do it myself. Yeah, I was expecting, okay, in it, the arg would be base, the type would be base sprite 2D, and then this would be self. I like that when you use one of these auto code generation things, like for example, I did fn, and you see there's like ghost text appearing there. So if I hit enter now, all of that comes in, but that's a template, right? And for for a certain period of time, or at least for the time being, until I like hit a different key that takes it out of that mode, for a temporary period of time, the basically NeoVim temporarily goes into this mode where it will let you type, like, okay, I can say here some underscore funk '01, and then I can hit tab, and it's going to go to the next thing that it is expecting you to enter. So in this case, it would be let's say arg '01, not age '01, arg '01, and then I can hit tab again. And so if you notice, we are currently in something called the select mode. That's the mode I was talking about. So this way we can like enter whatever we want. In this case, let's just do exactly what the tutorial is saying. And then if I hit tab again, now we are back in select mode, and we have the return type. If I want to get out of this mode, I can do this and we are good to go. I want to learn how I can go into select mode manually, because so far I've only been able to do it through these code generation things. I haven't been able to do it manually. Okay, now here we want Godot print line, hello world. Godot print line. So this is going to print to the console. Okay, all right. Hello world. All right, and then finally we want this to return self, speed 400, this, and see again we are doing the select thing. Okay, std f64. Oh, it's we are doing pi. All right, pi, and then this is just base. Oh yeah, just base. Okay, redundant field names instruct initialization for further. Replace it with base. Okay. Wait, this is interesting. For some reason, it's saying that speed and angular speed are not being read. Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. Oh, all right. So that vanished. I'm not sure why. I guess maybe in the init method, it being used in the init method doesn't count, or it being used in a self doesn't count. I need to actually create like an instance and then it'll count. I don't know. I'm not sure. Okay, again, those are multiple pieces working together. Let's go through them one by one. Godot API. This lets Godot Rust know that the following impl block is part of the Rust API to expose to Godot. This attribute is required here. Accidentally forgetting this will cause a compile error. Then impl sprite 2D. Each of the engine classes has an I class name trait, which comes with virtual functions. That's what I was looking for. I was looking for it to give me like the default members that I can implement, but it's not giving me that. Generate impl, generate trait. No, that's not what I'm looking for. It's supposed to be, I'm supposed to have code actions here, but IntelliSense isn't really playing nicely here. So I need to look into what the issue is. But yeah, okay, virtual functions for that specific class, as well as general purpose functionality such as init, the constructor, or toString for string conversion. The trait has no required methods. Okay, okay, that's probably why it's not giving, because there's two situations where it'll complain. Well, one situation where it'll complain and another situation where it gives you an option. Um, the first situation where it'll complain is when there are methods that you are required to implement. So if you don't implement them, it's going to complain. And it kind of did. Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, it did, but it still didn't give me that option. And the other situation where it's not going to complain, but it'll give you the option to generate methods is if you have default members. So you can implement a bunch of um, methods on the trait, and then if you're implementing the trait for a type, you can get Rust to automatically generate all of or automatically implement all of those functions for this specific implementation. Yeah, I need to look into what's going on with IntelliSense because yeah, there's some stuff that's not working here. Okay, the init constructor is an associated function, static method in other languages. All right. Okay, dude, I need to go back and implement some traits myself to kind of see what the functionality is because I feel like keeping that in mind, like keeping this in mind, what's being said, if init is being looked at as a constructor, wouldn't that count as like a default member? Yeah, I think it would count as a default member, right? Though if it's a constructor for the type, generally we would not be creating it in this block, in this impl block. We would be creating it in a separate impl block which was meant specifically for player, like um only for player. It's not meant for like implementing a trait on player. So I'm kind of confused about what's going on here. Maybe I'm confusing this. Like maybe I'm getting something wrong here. Um, it could be that after stream, all of a sudden I'll understand what the thing is. Anyways, moving on. While the base is usually just forwarded, no, wait. The init constructor is an associated function that takes the base instance of an argument and returns the constructed instance of self. While the base is usually just forwarded, the constructor is the place to initialize all your fields. In this example, we assign the values 400 and pi. Now that the initialization is sorted, oh, no, you know what? We need to stop here. We need to stop here. I wish I could go for a little bit longer, but I started the stream late, which is again completely on me, and I do need to end. So what I'm gonna do is, if this page loads quickly, I am gonna set up a raid, and we are gonna go there. Um, just gonna pick someone quickly. Um, okay, what's going on here? Working ADHD stream. Okay, there's someone doing artwork. I think we'll go to this person if their chat is not like follower only. And yeah, I think yeah, I think I'll go to this person's stream. I For some reason this name seems familiar. Anyways, okay. Yeah, we're gonna head over to this person's stream. Their settings prevent raids. Awesome. Okay. So I guess we are not going to their stream. Give me a second while I look for someone else. Okay. There's somebody planning their birthday, which includes some sort of scavenger hunt. That's interesting. Then, okay, there's somebody here. Okay, they haven't started their stream yet. Uh, Hold on. Okay, I think I'll just go to this person's stream, which I hope there's no limitations here. Let's set up the raid, and yeah, we are good to go. Right, so we made some good progress today. Pretty excited about that. Pretty happy about that. Off stream, I'm not going to continue this as much as I am really interested in this. I'm going to keep this up to the stream. In tomorrow's stream, hopefully tomorrow as well, I'm streaming. In tomorrow's stream, we're going to continue this, and we're gonna hopefully take this into the Godot editor and see, actual logic being created with our Rust code. Off stream, I'm gonna continue doing the Docker research and learning about Docker and setting up Docker related stuff. So that's gonna be it for today's stream. I hope you guys have a nice day, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.